Forum Borealis Paradigm Expansion.
Greetings from the north, citizens of Earth. Welcome to Forum Borealis. Today we have another episode in our series called Between Adam and Eve, exploring different tips, advices and attitudes to preserve and enhance sex and relationships. And we'll even discuss the so-called Mandela effect. It may sound like a girl's show, but guys, we're constantly pitching advices also from our perspective. My partner in this crime is a colleague of sorts, going under the nickname Rachel Pigtail Girl, co-host of the Chronicles podcast, and host of YouTube channel The Pursuit of Happiness, where she offers her own take on various matters ranging from politics and current affairs to spirituality and self-help. Between us, we offer opinions, analysis and experience in order to determine what principles and values are worth holding on to and pursue further to nurse your romantic relationships with the occasional tantric twist. But first, a few words about my guest. Already at the age of 5, Rachel had a minor awakening, becoming the impetus for a lifelong inner questioning and a burning desire to understand life, reality, and everything within it. At age 7, she was told she would be in a wheelchair by the time she was 21 due to a serious spinal condition known as scoliosis. But she refused to let that happen and instead became a professional dancer. Her working career has mostly been in the entertainment industry. She was Angel in the world-renowned dance known as Cabaret of Angels. She has DJ'd at London's top nightclubs under the artist name Little Miss Mix-It, and won 2 DJ competitions in UK and was even acknowledged by Kiss FM to be London's hottest female DJ. She also released 3 chart-topping dance tracks under the name Electra Cute and as a part of the dance act Restless. She has also worked 5 years as an erotic dancer, even doing full striptease. Being naturally creative, Rachel got her education from Italy Conti Stage School, one of London's top prestigious performing arts schools. Subsequently, she moved on to work within showbiz. However, already as a child, she had glimpses of how depraved that industry is, so eventually she grew tired of it. Instead, she followed her own quest and spent 25 years learning to heal herself naturally, and became her own doctor. Having battled suicidal tendencies until young adulthood, and being hypersensitive forced her to understand people, trauma, relationships, and the way the world works, which eventually made her realize she's a so-called intuitive empath. This changed her life dramatically, and with the tools to filter out overwhelming impressions, she could embark upon her life quest. Already around 17, she left home, traveled the world, and studied and practiced various systems of spiritual refinement like shamanism, Kundalini yoga, meditation, paganism, Shineosology, EFT, the emotion code, and body talk. She also became a Reiki master but outgrew it as a system. Her Kundalini activation began in her early 30s whilst traveling as a DJ and singer in Asia. She worked as a healer in remote areas of Indonesia, bringing relief to locals where no doctor or medicine man lived. She studied herbs and energy work in Thailand and China and uses her knowledge to create tinctures that has a profound and deeply curative effect on the mind-body complex. She also practiced Tantra, especially through dance, song and art. Her daily practice is based upon the 5 Tibetans and pranayama. She met several masters on her journey that she learned from, in addition to her own inner teacher. However, her testimony of knowledge and experience is herself, having overcome numerous disorders such as depression, hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's, heart disease, infertility, arthritis, food allergies, poor eyesight, sexual dysfunction, and immune dysfunction. As a spiritual anarchist, her primary goal is fighting for our birthright to be autonomous and sovereign. She is largely focused on helping others heal familiar trauma passed down generations and uses different modalities mixed with her innate intuitive skills. She believes removing trauma is key to transforming this reality and gaining optimal health. Her prime modus operandi is to offer advice, creativity, and practical help via her YouTube channel, as well as her website, where she offers one-on-one personal coaching, healing, information, tincture, and good old-fashioned fun. She currently resides in Barcelona, where she, apart from her day job as a professional podcast editor due to her education as a sound engineer, offers local women private lessons to unlock their inner goddess via sacred erotic dance. Welcome back to Forum Borealis, Rachel.
Oh, thank you for having me again.
Yes, I was pleased the last time, although I did talk a lot. I told myself not to talk this much this time. But I was so pleased of all the stuff we went through. And like I said last time, we have this series on relationships, sex, polarity, stuff like that. So I figure you'd be a great guest for that too.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to talk about relationships, because I think it's one of the most important parts of the human experience, really, isn't it? Is that relationship. And to be married or to be coupled to someone or part of a family, there's no real bigger responsibility that one can have, really, because you're in someone's environment and everything you do is going to affect those people, right? So we have to be conscious about the way we live, especially in our relationships.
Yeah, I'm into that, especially if you are in a relationship. But the irony is that, you know, this COVID thing, as far as I see it, on a psychological basis, collectively speaking, it has had one positive and one negative change. The positive change is that people get, you know, more time to chill, to stop the rat race they were trapped in. Mm-hmm. And also touch base with what's important in life, get a better perspective, especially in the West in modern times. We've lost, it's not like our grandparents who knew the war, right? They knew values, they knew life and death. But we've been alienated from these realities of life. Now it's kind of back, and I think that's a healthy thing, although of course it can become neurosis and fear, but it's healthy to have that death perspective. But the negative is to do with what we're talking about, relationships. Now people want, you know, they want to be close to each other, they want to touch each other. I wonder what this will do with the French, you know, they kiss all the time down there, even with strangers, you know. Well, so that's interesting, how that will impact us for the unforeseeable future.
Yes, indeed. And I've actually been wondering how people who are still in the dating phases during lockdown have even been coping, you know, with not being able to physically see the person that you're having a relationship with. It starts to become like a long distance relationship, even though you might just live 10 doors up the road, just sort of waving to each other from a window. But then when you really get into the truth of what makes a good relationship, yes, the physical part, of course, is very important. But the real basis of any deep and lasting relationship is intimacy. And we can choose intimacy in many areas of our life. And one of the most important things, I think personally, in a relationship and in my own life, in my own relationships, the thing that I think has always helped me keep it going, keep it on track, has been just honest and open communication as a form of intimacy. That kind, constant, and honest communication where you have a willingness to work through difficulties, to enjoy and celebrate, and congratulate on the highs, to be there during the lows, and to be aware that every part of the relationship is building that intimacy for you, so that when you do get to the more physical, fun parts in the bedroom area, the intimacy will be there. So you'll be able to enjoy your sexuality on a deeper level with each other, and not just be, having tired, angry sex with each other because you haven't spoken about the issues that you've had during that week, and you're just now having it as a stress relief, and you're not really connecting, you're not fully present for the other person. And actually, during this time of COVID lockdown, I'm hoping if you haven't gone the opposite way and you've just gone into sort of shouting matches or silently ignoring each other, or, just arguing about the past nonstop, that if you were smart, you would be finding new ways to develop that intimacy, having fun on Skype, finding ways to spice up your life and keep the connection strong. Because I think that's really the basis of any great relationship, whether it be with children, whether it be with family members, just in general, to be kind, constant, and honest in your communication.
It's funny. I talked with a friend of mine. He's he just became single right before the COVID thing, I guess in December or something, and his plan was to date all spring. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, I think this was in May last month or something. I said, "Oh, this must have really crushed your dating life." He said, No, it's the opposite. It's never been easier dating. I thought, what? Yes, because here's the thing. If it was normal conditions, girls would be more on their back feet. But now that people are panicking, we can lose a job, we can lose our lives. But on the other hand, I have to sit alone at home in isolation. No girls in Norway lives with their parents. Everybody moves. I guess that doesn't apply to the whole world, but here it does. And so they sit there. They sit there in their rotten studios all alone, right? All dressed up and nowhere to go. And that makes them much more contact seeking for dating. And people were dating all the time. Even though they couldn't go out, they could go to each other, right? Yep. So guys were scoring big time, left and right. But back to the thing you said about yes, honesty, so important. But the problem, of course, with that is that most people are conditioned not to be honest. And even if they were deadly honest, like I am in my relationships, you'll notice that there's a lot of people who can't handle it. They don't really want it. Yes, in party speeches, we always revere honesty, sincerity, but in real life, it's not that popular. The ancient Egyptian goddess Maat for truth, she's not really that wanted in our current world.
Definitely.
So it has to be people who can handle it. But I want to ask you this, Rachel. What would you say are the three, and just pull it out of your hiney, what's the three most important factors for a relationship to thrive, to preserve harmony?
Well, first things first, you've got to understand that a relationship is going to be a mirror. So you've got to think, what do I want to see back is what you've got to put out. So you've got to think about the things that, like honesty, a willingness to work through difficulties. This is really important. Both of you have got to be willing to make compromises and to be able to work through difficulties in a way that you're not just shouting at each other to get low blows or to come out on top, but that you've got to find a way and a willingness to work through difficulties. This is never going to be just smooth sailing the whole way through. And that's kind of connected to the honesty. So you have to have that. I think number two, you've really also got to learn to have a sense of fun and humor to lighten the space up. You know, we have so much stress in the world, and relationships after a while, once the initial high of the sex or whatever, the infatuation has worn down, you know, you've got that stress of life that comes back, you know, that everyday grinds and that stuff. So being able to really laugh together, have fun together, and remembering to make space to play and do that stuff that lifts your heart and lightens you, I think that's also really important. And number 3, it seems so obvious to say it, but it's about the heart connection. You've got to be consciously trying to keep the heart connection open, because I truly believe that all relationships that start failing, it's because the hearts disconnect due to some miscommunications, resentments, bad feelings, whatever. It's all about is.
Hold on. Yes, many relationships, but there are those where the physical connection is the root cause.
Yeah, but if you've got to have the heart to have that good physical relationship.
Yeah, for girls, but for men, it's not necessary. And of course, I'm not saying all men and I'm not saying all girls, but there is possibility to split desire and love. They don't have to be on the same team all the time, although, of course, that's the optimal, right?
Yeah, but if you're talking about a relationship that's going to last,
yeah,
like, and not just be a fling or not just be a season,
yeah,
you know, that you can change. So that might work for some people and they might be happy to have that. But will that last a lifetime?
No, not without
Will
the heart,
that be
no.
the thing that's it? If you want someone to be at your deathbed holding your hand in your old age, that's a heart connection, right? They've got to clean the poop off you when you poop yourself when you're 88 years old. I mean, that's love, man. That's a heart connection.
Yeah.
And I've taken care of the elderly, so I know what it's like to take care of old people. So that's where the heart connection, if you want it to last, if you want an 8-year relationship or a 6-year relationship, or, you know, one you change like you change your clothes with the seasons, then sure. I mean, of course, sexual attraction is super important. I mean, that's definitely important. And that's the big spark and the thing that draws you together, you know, the chemistry, the physical connection. But for a lasting relationship, you know, when you're 50, 60, someone's gone through the menopause, and what's going to keep it going when the sex dies down? And yeah.
No, I agree with that. But I think there is a slight disagreement here, which is cool, because then it becomes more dynamic. Because I'm sure we can converse about stuff from different points of view. And I think maybe we disagree. You can tell me if we do or not. But okay. I think you're right when you say it has to be a heart connection. And obviously you're right also when you imply that sexual desire can cease if you lose the heart connection. But I know from my own experience, and I also from others, that it is possible to have the heart connection and yet the desire things vanish. Mm-hmm. And because there is a heart connection lingering on, people stay together and they don't have sex, and that's horrible, also horrible for the relationship. Mm-hmm. And they may go a whole year without sex. Or it may end up in cheating and then, you know, drama and heartburn and whatnot. So that is a possibility. So I see when relationship dissolves, sometimes that is more frequent than people think. That is named as a cause. And of course, it's the unavoidability of being a lot together, that kind of the freshness, the news factor, the novelty thing goes out of it, and then it's easier, especially for our generations, new generations, to look at, you know, just to, like you say, change clothes, right? Not so in the old days. They all aimed to stay together. Now it has kind of lost a lot of its meaning, but it does happen, and it's the thing. I think it was Esther Perel. She says, very good adage, kind of, that sums it up. She says, love seeks closeness, but desire needs space to thrive.
Yeah, perfect.
And I want to add this, and then I'll give you the ball. Okay. I think you mentioned space, actually. You mentioned honesty, humor, heart. I'll mention, for my sake, and since you said, I would say honesty anyway, but it leaves me freedom to say 3 other things, and that's team. so important. Some relationships, they think it's a competition.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right?
I hear
Either
you.
that, or especially if one of them are more narcissistic traits, or it's like one servant and one pampered person.
Yeah.
Everything is about one of them, right? So the team thing, always think and feel that we are in this together. We're gonna, if you had a good day, that's good for me too. It goes both ways. We're gonna pull this thing together. I think that's even more important when they get children. But team, the second is communication, which is kind of what you said, work with difficult, willingness to work, honesty. So, so communication, you mentioned that, but it's so important to talk when, that's willingness to work with stuff. Tell me when something is wrong. Don't just, and I'm talking to you girls, because this is a typical gender thing. Don't just think we are clairvoyant and know what's up.
Yes.
That's the biggest problems for girls, right?
Yep. Yeah, totally. Totally agree.
I mean, we have our own stuff, but that's the girl thing. And the third is, like you touched upon, space. So important to give each other space. And when you do, you kind of preserve desire too. Don't control your partner all the time. Where were you? Who were you with? First off, that's just your own neurosis. But if you really are not comfortable, let me talk from a guy perspective. If you're not comfortable to see your lady being flirted with or other guys watch her, I mean, you should really take that as a compliment. If other guys desire your woman, you should be proud. You should that should tell you that you got an attractive girl.
Yeah.
So that's the ideal way to handle it. But it will also help you remind yourself that she's hot and that you shouldn't take her for granted, because the granted thing is often a reason for trouble.
Yeah, I totally agree that you do have to be a team, as you said in the beginning. That's so crucial. And I have to say I'm very lucky because I've had a very good relationship for quite some time. So I'm a bit spoiled in that respect, because me and my husband, we've always been like really not jealous, really not controlling each other, really trying to be open in communication and working together on the way we communicate so we don't trigger each other or cause resentments between ourselves that then linger.
But I'm sure it hasn't always been like this. You have experience with bad stuff, right?
Yeah, before. And we've gone through, you go through your rough patches and then you try to, that willingness to work through it comes in and you have to think, oh, my communication broke down for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, you have had bad relationships too.
Yes. In the beginning I had bad, that's what taught me the kind of relationships I didn't want
exactly.
to have. But I know that, for a lot of people, like bringing it back though to that, necessity of the physical, it's 100% true. And it can be very, very difficult to sustain a relationship if one person stops being interested in the physical side, the sex side of the relationship, and one person's really eager, to continue with it. Then, even if there is the heart connection, it can dwindle and fizzle out. This is why people need to actively keep an eye on their own libido and their sexual well-being and their stress levels, because life can kill someone's libido. And that's one of the reasons I started my website and my company, Pleasing Partners, where I make tinctures to help men and women. It's called Ignite. So there's like Ignite for him and Ignite for her. But what I made those for was myself after I had my baby. My libido, I noticed, had dropped, and I was struggling, to bring it back for my husband.
Hold on, is that a common thing when you've given birth?
It can be, yeah. For some women, though, it can go the other way. They can become so horny they can't stop doing it.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that too. Yeah.
But for me, unfortunately, I think my thyroid was also slowing down, and I had some hormonal imbalance in my body. So I really had to find a way to bring that side of myself back up to par. I created these tinctures for myself, basically. I looked up online, I studied which herbs were best, and I made my own little potion and I started to use it. And with some great success, I certainly got my pet back. And of course, that's very important, to keep your relationship strong, especially after you just had a baby, because there's nothing worse for a man when a woman's just had a baby and then if forever and ever there's just no contact. And it's hard for the woman too. You can lose yourself in the child and you can forget about that connection. between yourselves, and it is to your detriment, because then you don't get that lovely feeling of physical contact. You stop to, even the heart connection is now all focused on the baby and not each other, and you don't get that little you time when you can be yourselves again and, remember who you are outside being the mummy and daddy. So anyway, I worked on these techniques to get my own libido back, and I can say, it's 100% true. If you want to keep your relationship going, you've got to, if you notice your libido going, you've got to talk about it with your partner. You must address differences in sexual appetite. You've got to be able to bring those to the table and to look at it like adults. And if there is something lacking in the bedroom, you've got to be brave enough to talk about that with each other in a way that you're not trying to put each other down or make someone feel bad, like, oh, you didn't satisfy me, I wish you'd try that. That would be a negative way to say it. No. It's about finding ways as well to talk about a very delicate topic between men and women, because no one wants to be told something negative about their body or, their performance in bed. It could be, really damaging.
Don't you think that is worse for men?
I would imagine so. I can only speak as a woman, though, but I can imagine seeing that the man actually has to get a hard on and sort of get the fires going. If he was having any doubt in himself, I would imagine a lot of, erectile dysfunction could come from mental and emotional scars of having been criticized.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about the physiology. Yeah, physiological. It's we can't hide, we can't fake
it,
right?
For the ego.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the psychology too, the gender roles. Because newsflash, there are gender roles that are negative for men. I mean, the female stuff gets all attention, at least in this country. But one of them is, of course, being the viral, always ready lover, And today, especially if I'm thinking about my poor American listeners, they are working 2 and 3 jobs. Mm-hmm. And I was horrified when I saw the hours they're working too. It's like a third world country. Mm-hmm. They're just working all the time. If they even have work, they're working all the time. Usually a shitty job that they don't even like. And so they come exhausted home.
Yeah.
And then they're supposed to be Tarzan in bed, right?
And that's so hard. Let's be honest. For men or women, that's difficult.
Mm. Yeah, but girls kind of can fake it, can't they? They can lie back and...
But believe me, though, you can definitely, I know I can be so exhausted, the thought of even moving, at the end of the day when I'm so tired from dealing, maybe I've been working a lot and having my daughter to take care of, chores and cooking. At 11 o'clock, maybe all I want to do is just watch a movie and just be a complete couch potato.
Yeah. So... Yeah, but you're not in the zone. But say you are... my experience is that girls, if you manage to turn them on, or I should say they're more politically correct, if they get turned on, it doesn't matter how tired they are. I actually experienced girls falling asleep, not while we had sex, but while I was massaging them before sex. And I didn't have the heart to wake up, because she was so... Pardon?
A good foot rub can do that. Ankle and feet do that to me.
Yes, I love foot rubs.
Yeah, that sends me on.
But the thing is, she was so exhausted, but then I managed to make her turned on, and then of course I ruined it with putting massage in as a foreplay. Take a note, guys. Never do that when the girls are tired.
That's a good advice. Yeah, well, there can be ways to spice up a massage too. You can always make it a bit more invigorating type massage. You can put some invigorating music on. I always like to set the mood in a massage, the candles, to make sure I don't fall asleep. Nice aromas that will keep you stimulated. Music that's not too sleepy, with a little bit of a beat. So as it's going, you can get into the rhythm of it, and it can be very sensual. A good massage could certainly.
I already see an error I did. I had new age music, like ping pong in space, right?
Maybe you should have put a little bit of house music on in the background.
Yeah, should be more energy there. I agree. Are there oils you can use too that makes a difference? I mean, aromatherapy is a scientific proven phenomenon. Oils do influence us, odors.
Mm-hmm. They do. And I was just going to say, I personally, in the bedroom area, I really love the smells of frankincense, and I really love like sandalwood, and I love vanilla, and there's the ylang ylang. So I'm sure everyone's got their own tastes, you know, what smell works for them. But those are just a few that I really find sensual and like arousing, stimulating, yet kind of relaxing. It's not too hyper, but very warm. I like warm scents.
Yeah, well, frankincense and sandalwood, I associate that with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I always use that for my meditations, but well, interesting. So, okay, so you mentioned I did have that on agenda to ask you the website about the tinctures. Let's go a little into that. First off, let's start plugging the website. What's the address?
Pleasingpartners.com. Yeah, it's a little website I made. There was some like sexy lingerie that I particularly like some bodysuits, some tinctures that I made personally for myself. And really it was more kind of fact that I'd made them and they were working so well. I'd given them out to friends and got such a good feedback. People started asking me how they could buy them. So at the time I was making them, I wasn't really thinking, oh, this is going to be a business. I was just thinking, this is for me to get me back in the driver's seat again of my body. And it kind of just grew from there. And the idea of the name Pleasing Partners came from me and my husband, and from the fact that I'd made that tincture so I could make sure that we were pleasing each other again.
It's a great title. I have to give you that.
Yeah, and also I chose some like nice underwears that help get me in the mood when, you know, after you have a baby as a woman, you can maybe not feel so sexy, you start to feel mumsy. So I really wanted to get some nice lingerie as well to help me feel in the mood, and I always like them. The crotchless ones, let's be real, let's be adult ones, because you can wear them and you can have fun and you don't have to rip them off to have the fun. So I've always really liked sexy underwear that's very accessible. So in the bedroom,
they last longer, yes.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds. So I have some underwear like that on there, and really just little things to help you feel energized, able to have sex. Because the tinctures I have, so I have an energizer one, which is the green one, that has stuff that's high in iodine and stuff that was really nurturing the endocrine system and the hormonal system in there. And so it has 4 ingredients, and that's the green one's called Energizer. And it's basically... hang on. So you make them for different purposes? Yeah, I have one for him and one for her. And the difference is like in the female one, I use red maca. In the male one, I use black maca. It's a long list of herbs in there. But that's for the
technical geeks who are into plants. Yeah. What's the psychological difference? What's the aim difference?
Well, no, it's just which hormones it affects the most. So for the man, you want to boost the testosterone, and you don't want to be boosting estrogen or anything like that, or progesterone. You want to be just focused on strength, stamina, testosterone, health. It's anti-aging, it's anti-cancerous, it's an adaptogen. It's full of adaptogens. It's going to boost your nervous system. It's going to strengthen even your bones. You know, it's just a full body boost and to your hormonal system. So for the man, it's tailored for his hormonal system. And
I have to order one of these.
Well, you know, I'll send you one, my dear. Just ask, I'll send you one. You know, you can have one for free. You don't need to buy it.
you already sold me on the man one. Let's hear the 3 others.
Yeah, and it's called Ignite because it was igniting my libido again. That was what my hope was, to bring that, because it's all about, obviously there can be emotional side to it, true, and you've got to do that work too, but there is also many physiological reasons we can lose our interest in sex, and not just purely psychological and emotional. It can be definitely after any stress or illness or just childbirth. Even for men after childbirth, they can have an imbalance in their own hormones. Your hormones can go all over the place. Yeah. So, you know, you really need your hormones. You're communicating. They have a consciousness in your body. They communicate to different things in your body. So you want to keep those guys in check and very happy. So for the female one, it's a little less on the testosterone side, but still with some, because even a female to have a healthy sex drive needs a certain amount of testosterone in her system. So that's the difference with the male and the female. Has a little bit more.
What's the female called?
Oh, it's Ignite for her. It's just Ignite.
You know, I can hear the advertisement voice now. What you call the site again?
Oh, Pleasing Partners.
Ignite for him. product of pleasingpartners.com.
Yeah, yes.
And I can hear that she's soft porn music from the 70s in the background. No, I think this sounds very smart, because it shows that you're actually tailoring your products to different needs, which is imperative. You can't just have one solution fits all, right?
No.
Especially not for genders. So that's Ignite for men, Ignite for women. What's the two others?
Well, yeah. I also sell a green Ignite, which is called Ignite Energizer, which is just about boosting your thyroid gland and your system, your adrenal system, to make sure, using iodine, that you're going to feel energized. It's basically about stamina and energy, and so you can, if you were doing sports, you could use the Energizer green one as well. So that's just another thing I made on the side, because I had a thyroid issue. And I wanted something that would tackle, the iodine deficiency that a lot of people have. So I made that, because the green kelp, it's like a little bit aphrodisiac too. So everything I sell, really, because your libido is directly linked to your energetics and your health and well-being. Like you were saying, if you're tired, it can really damage that. So the green one was really more for just that energy for life, that get up and go. Yeah. And I also sell, that's 3 kinds of Ignite I do. And then there's another product, which is Shilajit, that I also sell, because that's also a libido enhancer. They call it the black Viagra.
So basically an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, it's also an aphrodisiac, but it's also can be used for meditation. Again, it's antiviral, it's anti-cancer. It has just so many properties, because it has every mineral that your body needs to be healthy. And a healthy body is going to be a healthy sex life. It's going to be making you feel emotionally better, psychologically better. So it's all about just giving your body what it needs. And I've really grown fond of my Shilajit. I have to say, I've been taking it myself now for quite some time, and it's really, it's actually in the Ignite as well, because Shilajit also enhances other herbs and boosts their potency.
Is it your rich background who's made you adept in, playing around with herbs and stuff? Where did you pick up all this wisdom?
Well, since I was 24, I'm also, so I didn't really mention this yet, but I'm also an intuitive healer. So I've been studying the healing arts since I was 24, if not from beyond, really, because I would say my entire life's journey has been about learning how to heal myself and then to be able to show others. Yeah,
you have some impressive feats in that department. Healing yourself. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I've healed myself over and over again of many things. So part of that journey for me was learning about natural remedies, natural health. I mean, I call myself a wizard more than a witch, as in a wizard, as in trying to master self and become very disciplined and to achieve greatness or strive towards perfection. Not that I'll probably ever reach it, but to at least strive and try to learn as much as possible and be able to be self-sufficient, take care of myself, my body. And that's, for me, has been a journey understanding herbs, nature, foods that I put into my body, water intake, just being very conscious and aware of what nature has to offer you. Sorry.
Yeah, if I recall right, you had some experience with alternative medicine. I prefer the term complementary medicine. Didn't you have something there too?
In what respect? Sorry, you mean the body talk and the emotion code?
Yeah, probably. Okay, so there's nothing with herbs in that field.
Well, no, I studied herbs, but herbalism is not actually a part of emotion code and body code and intuitive healing that I do, because actually the emotional energy work I do is actually grounded in trying to make people not have to rely on even medicines or herbs or vitamins to be healthy, but trying to bring the holographic field of someone into alignment so that they would be perfectly in balance to the point where they wouldn't even really need to supplement. Because most of the time we really need to supplement because we're so out of balance. Yeah. That's one of the reasons that we need herbs. So when I'm very down and I'm emotionally out of balance, and I'm physically, mentally out of balance, energetically out of balance, a herb will help you come into balance. Energy work will help you come into balance. But once you're in balance, you probably wouldn't need to rely, you wouldn't have to take that daily vitamin pill every day, because you'd be in balance. Your body would be a self-sustaining mechanism. So ultimately, I would like to get myself to the point where I wouldn't even have to rely on supplements or things to bring my body into balance. And that's what's taken me from herbalism and naturopathy into then trying to understand more the holographic nature of reality and the non-physical aspect of health. So
the real interesting stuff.
yeah, because it's been a process for me. It's been a gradual step-by-step process, because there's only so much a herb can do.
Yeah.
A herb is going to be great. It's going to get you out of a rut. It can get your hormones in check. But if there's an underlying emotional condition, that relief might not be very long lasting. It might not be something that, you would have to keep going back to that herb to sustain it, basically. So what I like to do is, I can give advice to my clients, say, as a herb that might help them boost their probiotics or help them fight, a fungal overgrowth or whatever. But also, ultimately, I'd like to get them to the point where we've removed what it was originally, emotionally, energetically, that would have caused that imbalance. So they could then stop, having to take that substance and ultimately put my pleasing partner's website out of business.
Well, it will be for a good cause.
But I'd be happy if that was the reason. If I could get everyone to that level of fitness, I'd be doing my job well.
Yeah, indeed. But many balls in the air now. So we're going to go back to relationships.
Do we want to talk a little bit about Tantra?
Yeah, we're going to get to that too. But I meant to ask you one more thing. We were talking about herbs.
Yeah.
Look, I want to just make a small amen to the herb thing, because many people say, in the old days, they didn't have to do this stuff. It's just, they think it's unnecessary with supplements. And so I just want to enlighten them that in the old days, the soil was very fertile, very rich, full of minerals. And people didn't have to, they could get all the nutritions just by having the old school meals. I'm talking like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And even though they were probably not eating half as much as we do now, they got inadvertently, they could have like mono meals, not a plethora of different ingredients, and they would still get covered. So today we have like very poor food. It's more processed than ever too. And so we end up with products that in mass and taste are excellent, but in nutrition are very poor. Notwithstanding, I don't know for England, for you guys. No,
it's true. Yeah, it's
true. In
true.
America, they have every food is genetically modified, unless you go to an organic shop, a whole food shop. It's forbidden here. But it's amazing. So when you think about all that stuff, you need to take care of your own health, because it won't happen just by going by public recommendations or mainstream food.
Exactly.
So stuff like what you're doing will always have a multi-beneficial result. It won't just be for the thing you're pitching it as, just to get
exactly. That's why I love Shilajit, because what you're explaining there, Shilajit has every life-giving essential mineral that your body could be lacking. So that's why I particularly like Shilajit actually as a supplement. If you didn't take anything else at all, Shilajit is something you could take, because it comes from that decomposition of everything in the mountains that then becomes this nutrient-dense element that it's so many minerals missing in the soil. Like a lot of people who get arthritis are really lacking in boron, and they just don't realize it. Now, when you go to a doctor, they're not going to say to you, you've got arthritis because you're low in boron. Here's some borax powder. Go and mix it in some water and you'll be fine in a few weeks. They're not going to say that to you. They're going to give you some anti-inflammatory or some medication to take swelling down and ease your pain.
Yeah, because they're dealing with symptoms, not with causes in many cases.
Yeah, but that specific illness is often directly linked to a lack of boron in the soil. So you're not getting it anymore in your food. And when you look at places that still have a rich source of boron in the soil, such as Israel, apparently, I've never been there, so I can't attest to this, but apparently you don't see geriatrics on Zimmer frames hobbling around with walking sticks so much, because they've got so much boron in the soil. They're still getting that needed mineralization that keeps that calcium in the bones. And when you don't have enough boron, what happens is the calcium leaches out of the bone, starts to go into the blood, and then gets stuck and deposited where it's not supposed to be, and it's leached out of the bones. And what the boron does, which you can get through borax, which you can buy.
Can we get it from some natural food sources too?
Well, yeah, you could. If you would have to know though, food that's grown in areas that have rich boron minerals in the soil.
Okay, that's the only way to get boron.
Yeah, or you can take a boron supplement. Yeah. They have boron supplements, but if you buy food from Israel, I imagine that will be high in boron, and you would have to.
I'm in favor of boycotting Israel, but
yeah, that's sadly the truth for a lot of people. So we're going to have to find our boron because most of the soil is deficient now in boron. I don't even know off the top of my head which areas are rich.
What about the Palestinian products? They are bound.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's probably other, maybe Algerian products too. It just depends how heavily they've been using chemicals in their big, pharmaceutical agro culture over there.
No, but I bet you $1 million that Israel is much more conscious of health than America. I'm talking about not the general Israeli or the general American, but I'm talking as far as government's concerns, because the American government is hopelessly corrupt and gone. They're in the pocket of big pharma, big vax, big anything, right? But other countries such as Russia, especially Russia, is very good, very progressive when it comes to stuff like health. Like they are encouraging citizens to grow stuff in their own back garden. They're very aware of the local stuff.
I know, how revolutionary.
Yeah. And they are forbidding, like us, they forbid genetically modified, and they just have a lot of healthy, and I bet Israelis are paying attention too. They are like, they care more, they're very nationalistic, so they would care more about the health of their own people. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not corruption there too, but just in general terms. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We can't trust the, nanny state or anything.
No, and actually, I was just thinking as you were saying that, another thing you could do is if you grow your own food, because basically borax powder is basically just pure the source of boron from the soil, like a salt. It's basically just something that's mined from the ground, borax. Yeah, it's you can buy it in powder form. It looks like it's a detergent or a slime ingredient, but actually it's just like bicarbonate of soda or salt. It's a mineral. So you can buy the borax powder, and then you could actually put it into your own earth. You could put it in water, you could dilute it, and then you could pour it in your own soil and then grow your own food from that soil. And that would be a good way to just, put it back into your personal garden or your soil if it's lacking, and then grow something for yourself.
Yeah, I have to ask you before we leave this subtopic, what about aphrodisiacs? What you recommend there? Let's give a handout to the guys. I guess there are aphrodisiacs for girls too, but to be honest, I always regard those as bullshit.
Well, obviously my potions are aphrodisiacs, ignite. They're a form of aphrodisiac. Shilajit is an aphrodisiac. It's both for men and women.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it is. That's what it's known for. And I think...
Yeah, but girls can be turned on mentally, yes. But are there really, not chemical, but physical stuff?
I think so. So definitely...
That can be as effective as, let's say, Viagra?
I'm not sure if something could be as on a same level as Viagra for a woman, because it's just the physical bringing of the blood down to a certain area with Viagra.
I don't get why you couldn't do that with women. You have a lot of blood down there.
Shilajit does actually, there are herbs that stimulate blood flow to the genitals.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's what they do. That's what makes an aphrodisiac, is it's going to bring blood into the genital area and warm it slightly. That's what it's going to do. So Ignite does do that. Shilajit does do that. And I think that there's lots of foods like pumpkin seeds, almonds. I really like, what's that herb? Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha's a nice herb for also relaxing, bringing the nervous system into a nice relaxed state, because that's also important as an aphrodisiac, because sometimes people are feeling a bit frigid because they're all stressed and uptight, and finding something that can relax, even red wine. I know it's an alcohol and some people might not be into that, but I think even a glass of red wine, some chocolates, Chocolates.
Yeah, chocolate I've heard. Some people can actually have sex on alcohol. I never managed that. It always affects my potency, and I'm in that department. I'm narcissistic enough to think that I don't want to perform if I can't perform my best. So I never have sex on alcohol, which is a pity because girls get turned on from that. But I'll tell you something that's good for men, and this is scientifically confirmed, and that's watermelon. Now, yeah, it's. I don't think that either is as effective as Viagra, because you have to eat so huge quantums to get to that level, and you can't eat that much of watermelon, right? But they're talking about, and I guess they're experimenting already. They're taking this active ingredient in watermelon and see if they can manufacture it. Like, for example, they do with Viagra. I don't know if it's in production yet, but I've heard about that. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, it should be healthier. I don't know that Viagra has any bad rap in terms of... I don't trust it, but I can't rely on science for that, because I don't know if it's proven any side effects that's serious. But watermelon is, anyway, I say that's like a romantic meal. If you're on a date, you could have a little watermelon out. It wouldn't hurt you.
And some dates. Dates are also, they help to release oxytocin.
They're so sugary, though.
Yeah, but for women, right, they help to release oxytocin. And so they put you into that bonding state. So for a woman, from a female sexuality perspective, not from perhaps a male, but from a female, that gets you in the mood. When you feel close, you feel the good oxytocin, you feel like you want to snuggle with your honey, you're very touchy-feely. That's what dates do.
Okay, that's super interesting, because, guys, pay attention now. That's the hormone women exceed, is that the word? Or produce when...
Reproduce,
when they have G-spot orgasm. That's the same hormone that's also released when you give birth. So that's why you're born with a child. And it's super effective. It's so powerful. If a girl has that flow with you in bed, she kind of will be into you after that. Okay. So have that as an incentive. So, and there is aphrodisiac aspects of your products too, you said?
Yeah, definitely made us for aphrodisiac effects, and I'm sure you'll find other products out there on the internet. I'm sure there's many things that can boost oxytocin, boost stamina, bring that warmth. For men, it would be more about bringing that blood flow down to the genital area. For a woman too, she needs a good blood flow down there as well, and a good circulation and blood flow is actually really important for your libido as well. It's good to keep that, make sure your blood keeps flowing, like exercise, not becoming too much in front of your computer screen during lockdown, watching Netflix on binge.
Or porn. I think most people watch porn.
Or porn. There's definitely been a lot of watching porn. And I think
there's so much addiction. It's so unhealthy. We can get to that. What were you saying?
I was just going to say there was even COVID porn, wasn't there? Did you see that? The COVID porn with the masks. Yeah, there's been a whole genre. There's been a whole genre.
I get that's probably a big fetish now.
Yeah.
I'd go, if I was going to such a costume ball, I would go with that, the doctor mask with the tooth bird thing, the ancient or medieval pandemic mask.
Oh yes, from the Black Death.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they used to stuff the nose with herbs, aromatic herbs.
Yeah,
that's why it was so long.
Yeah, it was a science behind it.
Yeah.
So it's people mock it by ignorance. No, it actually worked. It's just not very practical. Yeah. But there is one good news here, and that's that you don't have to have this primitive or porn version of sex all the time. The brutish kind of rape energy. You can also go to the opposite. Girls are very responding to that, guys, and that's Tantra, where you actually, it serves you well, no matter the libido, because you have to take it easy. It's not a performance sport. It's more an art, and it really connects with the deeper layers of sexuality. So what would you say about it?
Well, for those who don't really know the meaning of the word Tantra, Tantra means to weave or a web. So the point of Tantra is to intertwine energies with someone else. There's also a tantric field that artists tap into, which I won't go into right now, as an energy, as an orgasmic energy that's always there around us as part of creation. And the way I see Tantra is it's basically when you take sexuality to an expression more of sort of worship of one another and the acknowledgement of mind, body and soul in union during the sexual connection, rather than just, we're going to dress up in these costumes tonight and bang away, even though that's fun too. And of course, go for it. There's nothing wrong with a bit of that. But in Tantra, it'd be more about connecting the hearts, like I was saying about the heart-centered connection. Mm. It would be about working on, before you would make love, as an example, it would be about a nice foreplay, sensuality, stimulating the senses, bringing your breathing.
Problem is people don't have time for Tantra these days.
Well, yeah, that's why if you want to do it, you've got to make the time and space for it. I mean, that's just true. If you don't do that, then it won't happen. There'll never be a right moment. You've got to say, okay, this Saturday there'll be a babysitter. I'll make 2 hours to just put aside me and my honey, and we're gonna.
I can see why women are kind of more attracted to this field than men, because men sexually, I mean, it is a cul-de-sac, but it's very prevalent, and that's that. It's like this use and throw society, right? So it's, a man can be happy getting a 5-minute, he just needs a release. This isn't healthy sexuality. I'm just talking about many traps out there. Mm-hmm. And so then they don't have this incentive to go deeper or to explore them more. Because a girl will usually, normally, in average, need a little more time to get ignited. So just 5 minutes here and there doesn't motivate her so much. And so she will be more inclined to explore options like Tantra. But ironically, I think men will earn more on mastering Tantra, because this isn't politically correct, but I'm afraid it's true. Mm-hmm. And that's that if a man masters the art of eros, a woman is normally, again, I'm talking average, there's always exceptions everywhere, mm-hmm. but a woman will be more receptive. She's easier to tango with. She's more instinctively will adjust to the tangoing. Whereas if it's the opposite, if the woman is a Tantra master and the man is like a goofball, it's not going to be as easy. So it is actually an advantage that the man knows something. There will be more successful matings statistically, mm-hmm. if a man knows what to do than if a woman knows what to do. So this is just an incentive for men out there to start getting interested in it, because if you improve her sexuality, you will improve your own too.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, to some people, they might hear it and think, oh, it sounds a lot of work or something, but actually it's incredibly fun. It can be, Tantra isn't just about some yoga stuff where you try to or something where you have sex. It can just be the art of sensuality and intimacy. To me, it's about weaving your connection. It's a time.
Some call it slow sex.
Yeah, it's a time where you say, okay, this is our time and we're going to fill it. It might even be that you're playing sexy games and you're feeding each other delicious fruits or chocolates as you're playing and tantalizing each other. You have that nice music going.
Hold on. Do you think Tantra can be combined with other kinds of sex, like, for example, role play? If stuff gets too kinky, it kind of neutralizes the tantric effect, right?
Well,
I don't think you can mix too much different stuff, but I'm wondering, I have never explored like a combination, so I'm wondering if you have thoughts about that or experience with that.
Well, listen, I'm never one to rain on someone else's parade. I say if they can work and mix it, go for it. Okay. My own personal experience is that when I want to get on that deeper side, the night is geared around that deeper side, and we're both in the mood for that. And when it's more the fun night, sometimes you want just a bit of fun, but the Tantra part really comes just from the connection. So even though it might be a bit more thrill-seeking sex, role-playing, or some bondage or some kinky stuff, it doesn't mean that you can't be in synchronization with each other or spend a moment before it, connecting hearts to one another, holding each other close, hugging, just feeling the breath. and acknowledging each other.
So pre-care and aftercare, no matter what sex.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's really all about intimacy. I think even though, that's Tantra, but of course you can have those quickie sex things and then you both say bye and you've got to go off to work. That's also fun. I'm not saying that. But if you want to do Tantra, what it's just really about is weaving each other's energy around each other and connecting to each other using that energy. And of course you can then take that energy to a higher spiritual level if you want to and use it to activate Kundalini. It can do a lot of positive things. That powerful orgasmic energy that's there, you can then sort of ride that as a bliss wave. And once you start to become a master of Tantra, that's really your objective. But if you just want to dabble in it as a way to bring more intimacy, more connection, it's really, like you're saying, slow sex. It's just about slowing down, the breath, the connection, placing your hand on each other's heart and looking into each other's eyes and just honoring each other in that moment and taking a breath. That would be a good place to start.
Yeah, 5 minutes can be fun, but in the long run, I think the women will start complaining before the men, to put it like that, especially if the man gets a release all the time and not the woman. But the good thing is, I see the younger girls are, the easier it is for them, the more conscious they are of their sex life. So I think the old polarity, the big problem for men was premature ejaculation, while the big problem for women were frigidity. So they were like polarized. Men came too soon, women too late, or they didn't come at all. But now I think that's more, at least for girls, I think it's easier for them. They have control over their own sexuality, the younger they are. And also, frigidity isn't that big of a problem anymore. Although I think still it's only 40% to say in. Again, it depends on the generation. But they say in statistics that they don't get orgasm in relationships. And I think that's a big source for a lot of discontent. I'm equally an adherent to both culture and nature. So I'm not like taking sides, but I think it's too underestimated. If especially a girl is not pleased sexually in a relationship.
Well, I wonder though.
She will take it out on the man psychologically, like start to what you say when you cut off his penis.
That's demasculation.
Yeah, she will start. Yeah, she will start. No, that's not a word. Not demasculation, but
emasculate.
Castration. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah. So she will start castrating you, and you will feel like you have a nagger at home, and she will feel you're no good. It will be a self-fulfilling, mutually feeding beast here, right?
Well, that would be because that woman is not communicating properly. I mean, as soon as you say that, that's a miscommunication. That a lot of women
and very common.
Don't have the courage to stand up and say what they want. So then they sit there unsatisfied, but then they don't say anything. They just nag and get snippy about your socks being there, and they're not telling you how they're really feeling or what's the problem. Like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, that thing where he should just know. He should be able to read my mind. No. Yeah, you need to just come and be able to say, like anyone, babe, if you was just to do this, that would feel good, and encourage your lover to touch you the way you want to be touched, to try a position that you might like, to do something that you'd want, or move their hand to the place that's nice for you. Because a man doesn't have a female body. He knows what his body feels like to touch. You've got to show him what feels good in your body. Like he's got to show you, you do this, because each man even is different. The way they like to be touched. Yeah,
plus we have another problem. We discover the weenie very early, right? And so most men fall in love with that and forget the rest. So they don't become aware that we have other aspects of sexuality too. That is easier, I think, for a girl to discover on herself because she already have a little more complex structure for orgasm and stuff like that. Whereas, you have, I think, at least 5 different types of orgasm if you should really be dissecting it and categorizing it. But for many men, that's another reason they're not interested in Tantra, because, my dick comes when I do this, right? So it's liberating for men to also realize it's not just about the penis and erection.
No, you have nipples too. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's practical. Yeah, physically
and earlobes and ankles and the head. A good head massage that can be amazing as well. A good head massage, pressing on those pressure points, especially like as a man is coming, I think it all shoots out their head. So like a good scalp rub as well while you're having a mind-blowing orgasm can take it to another level.
There's so many systems that are building upon the fact that the world is indeed holographic, like you said. And so there are, like, everybody knows palmistry. You can see, the whole point of systems like that is the holographic principle. It's that every zone somewhere in your body is reflecting the whole. So we know palmistry, we know foot zones, like foot zone therapy.
Yeah.
So that we know it's the same for the iris. There are systems out there who can uncover your whole system by the iris. You can do it with the spine. Or even here you can do it with hair or hair roots or something. So
yeah, I've heard that people take the hair, don't they, and they have it tested to see what's wrong with the body.
Yeah, this is more scientific, but I'm talking more like these old disciplines of predictions where they read a part of the body.
Right, yeah.
But it's the same principle what you said. But like, for example, women hair grow one way, male hair another way. So you can tell about polarity and stuff. But anyway, so there's a lot of systems like that. Mm-hmm. And I just saw there was one for the dick too, of course. So when you talk about details in the sexual acts, fellatio, for example, stuff like that, then it's something to it, because there are zones on the male body too, where the penis isn't everything, but it's many of the zones obviously are there. But they're more spread in your body.
That's it. It's very good to experiment for your own, sexual life, your erogenous zones. What areas of your body feel good when you press them? Because I don't know for a man, but I know that also, like, the belly button area is actually quite a sexy area. You can massage that area.
What's that area?
The belly button area, where the sacral chakra is.
Oh yeah, right.
As well.
Right.
So if you're stimulating the genital area, but you're also rubbing around the belly button area, I mean, it's like another little clitoris, that belly button. It can really set some. If you're having orgasmic waves going through your body and you've got someone rubbing on your stomach, there's different areas. Like, you can also rub the heart area. This is more getting again to the ideas of Tantra, stimulating, being aware there's energy centers in your body and meridians, and you can use those to enhance your sexual experience of, the energies as they pass through your body, and even prolong your sexual experience, boost your libido, get you in the mood. If you can know a few pressure points to press on in the right place, you can do wonders, and you can even increase your erection and how hard it is, and for women, their sensitivity. There's so much to learn about the body. And I think if you're just having that sex that's only about your penis, I mean, it might be good, but you might be missing out on a whole rainbow of experiences that you could be having, rather than just the black and white one.
It's funny, now we're in flow, because you started to talk about something I wanted to take up. Mm-hmm. And that's the energy centers.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is correct. This is the perfect place to drop this fun fact. A factoid I haven't been able to share anywhere else, because it hasn't fitted in. But here it's like hand in glove. And that's the fact that, I told this to a sexologist I was interviewing. I asked her why there's so many girls into breath play, being choked. Mm-hmm. And that was a mystery for a long time, but I know the answer now. And by the way, she said it wasn't just girls, boys are into it too. Mm-hmm. But it's actually logical, because you will observe, most people won't, thank God, but in the old days you would observe, if you went to a hanging, it was totally normal for hanged people to get erection.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Obviously not because they were turned on. Because there's a direct relation between the throat center and the crotch center. Those two energy centers, obviously they're connected to, the real motors in the energy centers are the glands, the organs and the glands. And of course the nerve system, all the plexus going up, both the sympathetic and the autonom is going up through the spine. But there is a direct connect. You know, 2 and 2 energy centers are connected. So, or chakras, as I say in India, meaning wheel.
Yeah.
So the throat chakra and the crotch chakra are directly connected. So when you get a pressure on the energy in the throat, it comes out downwards, both for men and women, which is obviously why women use it as an aphrodisiac too.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense why people like to make sounds while they're having sex. Like, sounds like that actually stimulate the sexual energy, making sounds, not being quiet. And also the tongue and the mouth, you know, licking, stimulating the tongue, stimulating that area of the throat and the mouth. That is definitely going to be getting your juices flowing.
Yeah, but breath is super important. Breath influences your hormones and everything. 7,000 studies since they started in, when was it, 2003 or something? 7,000 studies in meditation who all point to, I mean, they point to a billion things, but they are singling out which everyone is pointing to because that's the safest, that's the most prevalent. And one of those are especially what we're talking about now. Like, for example, many researchers into stuff like hallucinogens, entheogens, mind-bending drugs and stuff like that. They've developed techniques where you don't need mushroom or LSD or anything. Just use breathing techniques to achieve the exact same results so they can have, for example, psychotherapy in that state. It's kind of the same as the shamans did with ayahuasca and stuff like that.
I was going to say to you, though, that that's actually like one of the bases of Tantra, too, is breath work. It's all linked to breath.
Yeah, breath.
It's all linked to breath.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's a very important factor that will be influenced, that can influence your sexuality too. So it's obviously an advantage if people have experience with, for example, yoga or pranayama or tai chi. They learn to breathe correctly there too. Depth breath is important.
Yeah, there's lots of kind of breath work you can do to develop your chi and your sexual energy. And there's things like I think there's one called like dragon breath you can do, which
pranayama.
Pranayama and breathing deeply down as well into the lower area of the body rather than being very up in the chest, really breathing it, bringing it down as low as you can and, you know, filling that genital area. Because even if obviously you can't actually breathe into your genitals, but you can feel, you can use your consciousness to feel like you're bringing that right down into your depths, into that center, and then breathing out. And that would definitely encourage your libido and your sexual performance and your enjoyment.
Yeah.
All of our files are free and will remain free. If you like the show, you can show support by donating $1 to help with expenses. Just use the PayPal link on our website, YouTube channel, or Facebook page. Thanks.
Since we have gone all the way into woo-woo country, I might as well take up another, like a spiritual concern. I hate that word, but anyway. And that's when you have blockages in your energy center. For example, let's just entertain the possibility of reincarnation. I mean, I had a scientist who's more or less proven it.
Okay.
But if that's a fact, let's say you were raped in a former life. But it doesn't have to go back to another life. It can go back to this life too. You fell down from the classical falling down from the crib, right? But stuff can have happened to you during when you grew up, whatever. So you have different issues, and they can be like blockages in your system, which is a lot of the tantric, especially tantric massage and stuff like that, has as a rationale that they're gonna free the energy flow of your prana, or I say pneuma, which is Greek, but you can say chi in China, you can say ki, you know, like Tai Chi or Aikido. Yeah. So, you can work with getting a release of that energy, which will also help you sexually.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I do in my healing sessions when I'm working on someone. A lot of people have sexual blockages or blockages in general, and some of the major emotions that block us sexually, things like resentment, bitterness, shame, guilt,
envy,
terror, jealousy, actually shame and guilt. That's a lot for women more. Actually, that tends to come up than men, because women are often shamed about their sexuality, or maybe they had a bad experience where they were with a guy who then treated her like a slut after or something. But
but men are body shamed.
Yeah.
They may not be. It's true that we're not sexually shamed. Like, for instance, a man, it's a classical. You heard, if you ask a man and a woman how many partners they've had, you always need to double the answer the woman say, and you have to half the answer the man say, right?
Yeah.
And that's a nurture thing. That's a culture thing. That's the fact that you're stigmatized if you have sex or like sex as a woman, and you're stigmatized if you don't have sex as a man, then you're a loser. So we all, both gender, bear those crosses, but there are...
But you do bring stuff in from past lives. That was what I was going to get to too. Like in my healing sessions, I won't divulge, specific sessions with clients because that's confidential. But often things from past lives, or even just from their own lineage, will come up in the session. So, as an example, you could have, like you were saying, maybe your great grandmother, could even be more, could even be like 100 generations back. You can have a trauma that could be coming from BC. Some traumas I've cleared have been that old, and it could just be that someone in your family was raped brutally, or witnessed something terrible, or something that they carry down in the genetic code, down in the memory, that gets passed on to you. It doesn't necessarily always get passed on to everyone in a family line. It can be passed on to specifics, like just the women or just the men or certain people. But that these things do affect us, and I do believe in past lives, and I do believe in reincarnation personally. And stuff from past lives, that is something obviously starts to get to more woo-woo level. You've got to learn yourself how to remove that and deal with it. And it's not always as easy as you think, because sometimes you can really feel stuck or not even be able to understand or find out, what's blocking you. So in that respect, you need to either work with a therapist or, intuitive healer, or you've got to find your information to tell you and teach you how to do that yourself, whether it be through a Vipassana retreat or through some deep meditation where you can go inside yourself and unlock those answers for yourself. But that is definitely crucial. And a lot of people just don't understand that they are carrying those memories and traumas from those past lives with them from the minute they're born. By the time they're, at a certain age, they can just be triggered, and they will start to then generate situations that will replay almost that energy to them, so they can try to correct or be confronted with that energy that still needs to be brought into balance. And that's why some people will just have nothing but bad relationships, and they won't understand it. They'll think, but I always try hard, I thought I was going to be okay, but then it gets to this point, and maybe they feel some anxiety or some resentment or fear, and they don't know why, and they find themselves stuck in a rut. And for those people, I would definitely say, think about past life energy, lineage, energy that you could be carrying if all else failed.
But isn't it healthy to start examining the known stuff, then go into the stuff that may be repressed? And if you have no answers after all that's exhausted, then you can turn to past life. I would never begin with the past life. That's beginning in the wrong end, if you ask me.
Well, I don't think anyone really begins immediately by thinking about past life, but it's like, I tried this, I tried that, I've tried that. Usually it takes someone quite a long time to even get to that conclusion of, okay, there has to be something.
Yeah, but I was imagining what we call up here the purple aunt.
What's that?
It's the cliche New Age woman.
Is it?
Basically,
is that what you call
a purple aunt? Yeah. But what you say, I agree. Look, I was saying the stuff that men exaggerate and women underestimate numbers partners to point to the fact that we have some gender differences in gender roles, stereotypes. And then girls get shamed for liking sex, and that's specific to their gender. And so some blockages in girls will have different causes than some blockages in men. But something we have in common, like body shaming, that's not a female issue. I just wanted to put that in there. And the energy we're talking about, you talked about meridians, right? Which is from the Tao system or Chinese medicine. But it's the same thing they are looking at. It's the same thing that makes you be able to read a body from a body part. It's because this energy, which goes with the blood, by the way, and circulates all over your body, it can be worked with directly. There's some meditation techniques where you can work with this creative energy. I mean, you don't have to even work with it sexually. You can, if you're an artist, if you're working creatively, you're basically working with pneuma or prana or the vital life force.
100%.
When you exercise, you're using it too. Yeah, so a part of Tantra is also to work with that energy. You mentioned Kundalini awakening, which is taking a bit far. You don't have to do that just to have a healthy energy system in your own body. I think that belongs more to a more deliberate spiritual path.
Yeah, well, Kundalini awakening is, that's not for everyone. And that's not necessarily has to be the focus of Tantra either. No. Tantra can be more about just building intimacy, being more healthy, being happier, more connected.
I mean, we should admit that we're using the Tantra in its most primitive and vulgar meaning, namely in the modern contemporary meaning. Because if you go to the origins, Tantra isn't even about sex. Yes, that too, but it makes Kundalini awakening look like child's play. I mean, it's really a spiritual path to become enlightened. And so we just in the West, we ejected that sexual aspect of the entire thing. And we blew it up and made courses and programs and, made it into a fad.
Well, for me, I've actually had a partial Kundalini awakening. So I'm quite well accustomed with Kundalini. And for me personally, Tantra has been a spiritual path because that's just naturally been a part of my life because there's actually a lot of people
but that's not
what we're talking about here. We're talking
about stuff everyone can do, right?
Yeah, a watered down Tantra, the accessible Amazon version, Amazon Prime.
Bubblegum version. So no, but that's great. It's better than nothing if you ask me.
Yeah, and it's healthy to find ways. It's not easy to keep a relationship going, keep it fun, and you can go through different stages. Why not try a little Tantra stage? It doesn't have to be like the whole everything of your sexual relationship, but it'll certainly keep things interesting and new. Anyway, if things get in a rut and you want to spice it up and keep it interesting.
Keep it fresh.
I think you have to keep sex interesting, fresh.
Yeah, keep it
warm.
You've
got to try new things.
Yeah, because that's, like I said, that's one of the problems ending relationships is either the libido or just attraction to each other.
Boredom.
Yeah, we take each other for granted. We forget. Yeah. Usually men remember after it's unfortunate, but a lot of women are wired to start the process of divorcing inside themselves. And when they announce it, they've already worked with it. And usually the man is clueless and is shocked and then gets traumatized and has to start his separation process after the fact, which is why so many men are stalkers. And, in statistics, at least in this country, I wouldn't know about the whole world, but I'm guessing it's a Western society thing.
Yes.
Men handle dissolutions of relationship much harder than women. And men can cheat too, but usually when that happens, they depart from the heart thing. We're going to get to the heart now. Okay. But they just distinguish and it's just physical. And women can have that too. But when I just said the example where, let's say the woman is not satisfied in bed, and it leads to bickering and demasculinization, one of two things usually happens. If they're not aware and responsible enough to just break it up, usually the man cheats because he's got this bitch at home. Who can blame him, right? Or the woman cheats because she's got a useless bot who doesn't work. So in either case, it's death for the relationship. But like I said, men usually work with a separation after the fact, women before the fact. And that's unfortunate that we're wired. There are many gender differences. We've touched some today. But we're wired so that it's not or doesn't always work compatible with each other. And the other reason for breaking up is the heart thing. And I was just wondering, you probably have some advices for how to keep it warm. We've told them a little of how to keep it warm physically, sexually, eros, but what about the heart?
Well, I think the heart is really where the communication comes in, because the communication, that's all about keeping the heart happy. You know that you can be angry and not communicating, but you can still get hard on and get turned on and have angry, crazy sex. That's not an issue for a lot of people. But it's the heart, for it to stay open. We have to make sure we don't build resentment. I feel that things like resentment really come between a heart connection and, things that haven't been said out loud, or feeling disconnected because you're angry and stuff. So you've really got to be able to clear the air between you and your partner, and just small exercises. Like, I really like to do breathing exercises and imagine the hearts connecting if I feel a little bit disconnected after an argument or something, or place a hand on each other's heart and just sit there for a moment and just connect. And another really easy or wonderful thing you can do is, say you've had strong words, or you've argued and you're not agreeing, and then you're trying to make it up. What you can do to really build heart connection, it's a simple technique, is after you've had maybe a time where you've been at each other and not agreeing, once you try to talk through it, get rid of the issue, at least acknowledge that there's a problem and tell your sides about it. But then once you've had hard words, just to say 3 nice things. Once you've cooled down, try to think of 3 nice things that you really appreciate about your partner. Because a lot of the time we don't spend time just sitting there saying, look, I just want you to know this. Every Sunday you could do this if you wanted to make it a ritual. These 3 things I really appreciate about you, and I'm going to tell you what they are. This week you made me that cup of tea when I was really stressed out, and I just want you to know that I really actually appreciated in the moment that you did that for me. Yeah. And there was this, the way you took care of business this week, my darling, where you got that money we needed for that bill. I just want to say that how much I appreciated the effort that you made there, and I just want to recognize it and really say thank you for that. And then list your little simple 3 things that you really appreciate about your partner. And doing this is such a wonderful way to connect hearts, because we often get lost in angry words or arguments, and then we have that in our memory. We keep hearing that voice. It's much better to then replace that with a positive voice, where you just, it could even be something like, oh, honey, when you wore those red jeans, I know that you knew that was going to cheer me up, and I know you were doing that for me, honey, and I just want you to know that I really appreciated that you did that for me. And just anything, it could be anything, little things that someone did for you in the week.
This is a prevention from taking anything for granted.
Yeah.
This is a reminder. Last time I had you on, we talked about how the gut is scientifically proven to be a part of your whole consciousness system, your whole thinking system.
Mm-hmm. The enteric mind. It's called the enteric mind.
Yeah, the enteric mind. And we've always had it as an expression, right? Talk from your gut, for example. Oh, I felt it in my gut. So it's been there intuitively. But another thing that shouldn't be underestimated, who also influences your perception and thinking process, is the heart. For example, they found that before you make a thought out of a vibratory sensory impression, it goes through the heart. We're talking like milliseconds here, right? Mm-hmm. Very, very fast process.
Yeah.
But obviously it means that the heart will influence where in the brain is going to send this thing, which gives it a lot of power. Look at the heart as the bouncer. Well, actually the opposite, like the secretary before you get to the boss, right? And everybody who's like, I was into sales, phone sales many years ago, and we were always annoyed when we had these, how should I put this, secretaries who blocked our access to the cock blockers, basically. So, no, the heart is very important. So if you have a happy heart, an easy heart, a light heart, you're more inclined to interpret the impulse in a good light. And if you have a heavy heart, obviously the opposite. So,
you definitely have the heart mind. You definitely can. I'd like to say that in Body Talk, the kind of healing modality I study, we work on 3 centers. So one is the mind, which actually has 2 sides to it, but it's considered one center. And we consider that the father of the body. And then there's the heart mind, which is the mother of the body. And then you have the enteric mind, which is like the inner child of the body.
That's Horus.
So it's like a holy trinity. It's the holy trinity within you. Yep. And it can either be functional, and then you'll be functional, or it could be dysfunctional. And that's why you see dysfunctional families, dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional bodies, because those 3 minds aren't in balance. with each other. And if your heart mind is distorted, and like one thing people can have are these little energy walls they create. We call them in healing, we call them heart walls. You can have a mind wall. It's when you have something painful and you want to sort of close down that energy. You build a little wall. It's an energetic wall. But if you build too many of them, it means your heart center will be closed down, and you'll try hard, but it will be dull. Oh, there's people.
And ironically, it often leads to actual heart trouble. I often see in people with heart trouble that they have certain common issues, often to do with closeness, intimacy, stuff like that. For example, starving of love or a broken heart or something like that.
Abandonment, betrayal, all of these things sit in the heart center.
Emotional stuff, I think one key, by the way, I like that model. I like that model with, I was thinking, of course, Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
Yeah, exactly, the Holy Trinity.
Or Vishnu, Shiva, Brahman. But here's the thing, as far as emotions go, before they start getting fucked up and ruin parts of our systems, physically or otherwise, for pure emotions, I think trust is a key emotion for the heart in relationship. Because if there's been betrayal, I mean, I'm not saying go hang yourself, nothing can be done, but it's going to be hard work, because if that's your starting point, that you don't have trust, oh my God, even if you're neutral in your starting point, trust is an energy that needs to permeate the whole thing, even sexually too. If you can have, in some work environments, they have this exercise where you're gonna throw yourself back and someone else is gonna catch you. That's the kind of thing.
As long as they haven't been drinking at lunchtime, I trust them.
Yeah, but that's a healthy. That's kind of a picture. Sexually, that's what's going on if a woman is going to surrender to you sexually and let go. Accept and let go is the same you have to do in meditation. But so a woman can't do that. Nowadays, men have no fathers and they have no male initiation. Females are forced to be male and female. And men, the masculine ideal is demonized and reduced to Homer Simpson. So you have a lot of guys walking around being children, basically, which is why they can't handle it when there's a breakup. And I'm not in a glass house. I've been through all these issues myself in my life. Work with jealousy, work with inferiority complex. I think it's very basic, because if you're gonna, as a man, have a healthy relationship, you have to connect with your confidence and your masculine center. But you have to have trust in the woman, even if you don't know each other. If you connect and you're in love and all that stuff, women have what we call these shit tests, right? Men should start developing them too. Then if you can trust them, and then let go and wait until you have evidence to start distrusting, because nothing will ruin a relationship as much as distrust, suspicion, control issues, all that stuff has to do with you haven't worked with your own emotions. So I think trust is super important, because then you give each other space automatically. And space is also super important.
Well, if you don't have trust, you don't really have a relationship, really.
Yeah.
How are you going to have a good sex life with someone you don't trust? You can't. I mean, even when you look at real kinky sex, it's all based in trust. Like you were saying, even the breathing where they like to be choked, that's actually based in trust. You wouldn't just let anyone do that to you. So any kind of relationship has to be built on trust. And if you don't have trust, then you really need to have a good look at why.
Yeah, but what if there is a reason not to have trust?
Well, yeah, if there's a good reason, then that's to be understood. But if you then go on to your next relationship and automatically don't trust because you had a bad experience, then that might be difficult. And sometimes, if we expect someone to not be trustworthy, sometimes we can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because we won't realize it, but we might be pushing them away instead of calling them towards us because of our barriers are up.
Hello? Oh,
hello.
I thought you dropped off there for a moment.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, because your barriers would be up. So you have to that again is definitely connected to the heart center, but that can also be connected to the enteric mind and the minds. It can be based on memories, it can be based on childhood experiences, this lack of trust. And once the trust has gone in your relationship, unless you can get it back, your relationship's going to be over, basically.
Yeah. Okay, I think we should start moving over to your other projects. But
okay.
Any conclusions? I mean, we've been a little over the map, but we started with the heart and we ended with the heart. Is there any other advices you want to share before we wrap up this subject?
Yeah, well, my greatest advice is that a relationship is going to be a mirror, and it's going to mirror back your worst parts, and it's going to mirror back your best parts. And if you're not there to do the work, if you're just there to get your rocks off or to have a hot dinner or whatever, well, if you can make your relationship last a lifetime doing that, all power to you. But if you want a decent, long-lasting relationship, you've got to be willing to make an effort. You've got to be willing to honestly communicate any issues in your relationship. You've got to do that hard work. And being aware that, you're going to be projecting your own insecurities onto the person that you're with. You're going to be projecting any dark things that you're carrying within yourself onto the other person. So if you find yourself having negative relationships over and over again, you want to ask yourself, why? What is this showing me about myself that I keep bringing this around? And if you do find yourself in the positive relationship that you think, I could try to go the course with this one and make it work, then and making sure that you do have that heart-centered connection and making the honest making the effort to keep the honest communication going and keeping things light and fun, really bringing it back to those basics of fun. Relationships, if they're not fun anymore, then that's going to be a recipe for disaster. People will get bored. People will look outside a relationship. And that's really how you keep your relationship going for the long haul. Is you've got to keep things interesting, spice it up if it's flagging a little bit, find new ways, keep it interesting, keep yourselves into it, excited, something new every now and again when you can. And also some compassion for yourself and for others. You're never going to be perfect, but to not beat yourself up about it and to just hold on to grudges. I think grudges, as well as a lack of trust, are really just like a fungus that just eats away at things. So being kind with yourself and others, having some fun, doing the work, doing the shadow work, enjoying the ups and trying to work on the downs, basically.
Yeah. Well, you said keep the fun, but some relationships don't even start with fun. It's a little character dependent, not... some people are different, basically. But
true. But we all have our own ways of having fun.
Yeah, own ways of having fun. Yeah,
maybe talking about accountancy numbers is your idea of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That could be your real turn on. Oh, baby, tell me about what you did at work today. What was those numbers? What is that? Oh, yeah, tell me more, baby.
Yeah, Asperger's having sex, listing number plates to each other.
Yeah. But what was that binary code, baby? Tell me more.
Oh, yeah, I can see it now. Oh, so hot numbers. Yeah. But what about if in a relationship you catch yourself being attracted to others?
Well, I think...
What's your advice for that situation?
I think it's quite normal for humans to be attracted to people. I mean, we're visual creatures. I like the look of a beautiful horse. I like the look of a cute doggy. I like the look of a handsome guy. I like the look of an attractive woman. So.
Yeah, okay, but sexual attraction to another person than your partner.
Well, if you're lucky enough and you're into that, you might want to see if you want to open up.
Three-way.
You might want to open up the relationship. If you're both finding yourself attracted and you can both be honest enough to even talk about those things.
So you believe in open relationships are possible?
Yeah, I do. I do. If they're done, again, from a place of honesty and integrity, why can't two adults have fun?
And I think both parts should be polyamorous by nature.
Yeah.
Not like what you call it, cucking. Is that what you call it? Not a cucking scenario where one is having it and the other one.
Yeah.
watch.
Well, for
That's
some people, that's their thing, right? That's their thing.
maybe.
But I think for some people, monogamy is going to be what they're into, right? There's some people, they couldn't even dream of going outside their relationship. But for others, that's going to be a thing, and that might be healthy.
Yeah, but normally that's not what happens. That's like 1% of the population. So do you think it's a sign that something is wrong in your own relationship? I mean, especially if you all the time get infatuated with someone else.
Yeah, well, if it's taking up all your time and all your thoughts, and you're starting to dream or fantasize about that person, and now where you're having sex with your intimate other, and
if you think about her while having sex with your partner.
Yeah. It wouldn't be wrong if you did it once or twice as a bit of fun. That wouldn't be wrong. But if it was becoming a thing and you found yourself now connecting to that image of that fantasy of being with that other person, that's an issue. That's something you should start to think. If you're not going to get into the swinging scene and accept that maybe you both getting a bit bored of the monotony of being with just one person, and now you might want to explore that. If you can't do that, then that's definitely going to be an issue. Especially for some people, complete intimacy and like, I'm just for you, you're the one, I'm the one, you shouldn't be thinking about anyone else. That can be very important for some people.
It's not the most prevalent idea.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, that's the norm, right? That's the norm. You shouldn't be just...
You and me until the end of days.
Yeah. And you should just have blinkers on and not notice anyone else. But of course, it's healthy to notice and enjoy and flirt and admit that you find other things attractive. But if you're not sweet...
I think that, sorry to interrupt, I think that specific thing is very healthy, to let your partner, part of giving each other space is to let the partner enjoy. Mm-hmm. For example, if you're a girl, masculine attention, she can bath in masculine attention. Same if you're a man, that you have the freedom to flirt with other girls, as long as you agree upon where is the limit. Mm-hmm. You can't kiss, you can't date or whatever. That's fine, right? But just dancing and getting the attention, for example, or just blinking or exchanging some, just being a flirting energy is very healthy for a relationship. To go out, get that confirmation for those who need that, or just that play, and to remind yourself that you have options. And
it can also arouse you. It can bring you some arousal. So even if you're not so far as like swingers, just enjoying a bit of flirtation, being out and about, and giving each other equal space to enjoy the flirting. Then you come home and enjoy each other. It can really put a spark, and actually jealousy and control can really be a passion killer for in the bedroom. Basically. But
you have to we talk about it as if it's simple, but the clue is both have to agree that it's an ideal. That
it has to be consensual between both of you, not one doing it behind the other's back or one doing it and the other one not doing it.
Exactly. I'm not trying to hide it, because if you try to hide it, you already imply there's something sinister going on.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It could be like, oh, honey, you know what happened to me today? You know what? Oh, the bus driver gave me a compliment. Right.
But this brings it all back round to the kind, constant and honest communication that I mentioned right at the beginning of the show. But it applies to all things. You should be sharing. Your partner should be your partner in crime. You should be able to share things with each other.
Team, right? Team, yeah.
A team. You're a team.
Mm.
And that's so important.
There's no I in team. Okay, so we've given them enough advices from our vast, endless bag of experience and insight, but let's move on to other areas. Talk about what you're involved in these days.
Okay.
I mean, you're still running your YouTube channel. You talked about podcasting. Have you expanded now to podcast platforms? We discussed this the last time.
Well, I haven't exactly done that yet, but I am in the processes of doing that at the moment. So I've been working in collaboration with another woman called Starfire Tour. And on Facebook, just to clarify any confusion with people, my name is Karen Ellington. So you will see people refer to me as Karen Ellington, but that's another long and funny story that I won't go into now. How I ended up with the name Karen Ellington on Facebook. That's not my name, but it's being used on Facebook. So if you see me, I sometimes...
Only suckers use their real name on Facebook, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. Only a sucker does. But Karen, it's so funny, right? Because some people now, Karen is a bit of a joke name now in the memes. It's like, oh, Karen. And
yeah, but you could look like a Karen. That's the thing.
I know, that's people that have known me for years now slip up and call me Karen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hilarious. I'm sort of embracing the name at the moment. It's sometimes fun to be another name for a bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a magical act to change name.
Yeah.
Or to manipulate the name somehow.
Yeah.
It's a usual ritual, but Karen is such a trivial alter ego. I mean, Rachel could just as well be the fake name, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny, the way I got that name was years ago. Actually, like 2009 or 2010, I remember Facebook was going through that fascist robot stage where, because I was a DJ, I had a page called Electrocute, because that was my DJ name, Electrocute.
Yeah, it's such a great name, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, and I had my own profile on Facebook under that name, and all my friends from China that were following me were my friends on that page. And then suddenly I got locked out of that account. And the fascist robots sent me a message telling me I had to use my real birth name or they were going to keep me out of my account. Jeez. So in a fit of anger, I took a few of the letters from Electra, the K and the E and the A, and some of the letters right. And I'd been singing some jazz. So I took the name Ellington. I'd been doing blues and jazz singing in China as well. So I just whipped the name Ellington because like Electra, Ellington. And I pulled that name out of my ass. Like, I don't even know. I was so angry with that flipping Facebook robot. I was just like...
Hey, I'd like to hear you blues and jazz. Is it anywhere? Is it possible to hear it?
I think I do have some singing videos online, and actually I've done, even on Facebook, I've done recordings, and if you look in my videos, there's uploads of me doing karaoke, there's uploads of some shows, but yeah, you can find it.
I've done one song.
Yeah.
I'm going to do 10.
Yeah, I love it.
But I'm not a musician, unlike you. But no, bossa nova, I think you should do something there. I love that genre.
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Classical bossa nova.
It's nice. That's a very nice lounge music. And in fact, yeah, in China, I did all sorts. I was that band in the 5-star hotel lobby singing in the wine bar while all the expats and the Chinese business people were having their dinner and drinks. So I did all of that kind of stuff. We used to do stuff like take Madonna songs and turn it into a bossa nova. We would do stuff like we would take classic songs and make them as lounge music and stuff.
Right.
Fun times.
I see.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm known as Pigtail Girl. My real name is Rachel. I'm on Facebook as Karen Ellington. And I'm working with this woman, Starfire Tour from the USA. And she's basically a fascinating reservoir library of information. She's dedicated her life into studying timeline edits. She was the mother of the Mandela effect knowledge that we have today.
Oh, I knew I've heard about her. She's the one who coined that thing.
Yeah, she's the woman that brought that information forward.
And she has a very special interpretation of it, doesn't she? What's her explanation? Can you sum it up shortly?
Yeah, I will try my best. So Starfire Tour, when she was very young, I have to give you some background so you understand her personality, so where she gets the information from. When she was very young, she was already having out-of-body experiences and going into the astral realms quite naturally. Like, she just didn't question what she was doing. And she met some interdimensional beings that told her that they were related to time. She saw them as time angels. That's the only thing she could explain them as. She doesn't. She says they're not like religious angels, not like in the Bible, like, oh, we are here to do God's work and serve humans. No, she says these are beings. They live in a whole different place. They have their own life. They do their own stuff, but they are interested in what she calls the core matrix and the timelines. And sometimes they will get involved with matters on other planets if they think it's a good cause. They like to see justice and truth. They're very passionate about justice and truth and integrities of the timeline. So this is basically their energy. So she was communicating with these beings, excuse me, and they were showing her methods and giving her information about this thing she calls the core matrix that controls all the timelines that are occurring simultaneously in this reality that we can't see. See, like a column with loads of like electricities, which would be different timelines all coming out. Now, some people know this as the Akashic Records. She said to me, this can also be known as the Akashic Records. That's what spiritual people call it. She calls it the core matrix. It's where all the information, all the timelines, it's all in there. Big mechanism.
Yeah, in Norse mythology, it was the Norns. They were called the Norns. Okay. They were weaving time.
Yeah, exactly. And there are these entities or angels or interdimensional beings that somehow interact with the timelines and can travel between them.
Yeah, archons in Greek or in Gnosticism. Yeah. Go on.
So she had this teaching, this communication with them. And when she was quite young, she learned how to sort of solve mysteries. I think someone had done something bad to her cat. It started like this. You know, she's a kid. It was really annoying to her. Someone had done something bad to her cat, and she wanted to find out who was guilty and sort of know what was going on. So without realizing it, she did this kind of what she calls now an astral tag, where she sent out this energy that through the astral plane would tag the truth and reveal it to her. She calls it an astral tag truth reveal. Mm-hmm. And with the help of these angels, let's just call them that, even though it's not biblical angels, it's really an extraterrestrial. It doesn't come from here. It's interdimensional. Would help her with her astral tags and help her find out the truth, and showed her this method and how to improve it. And she started to be able to solve crimes. So she managed to solve the mystery of her cat, get her justice and her truth. And then she developed this protocol through the years and studied further this core matrix, which you might know as the Akashic Records, and how it worked. So she started to also be shown about these timeline edits and shifts in the timeline. So she started to gather data from different people because it was interesting to her. She then spent her life researching timeline edits. She would interview anyone that she could find who would contact her with any story about missing time, strange glitches in time, where one thing in their life was this way and then it was like time had shifted and suddenly like a blue car had turned red, or their house door was green one timeline and suddenly they came back and it's red, and they have a clear memory of it being green, and sort of documenting this. So this was her work. She was at first interested in these timeline glitches and the what she calls the living dead people, dead again, alive again, dead again people, which are people when there's a timeline edit, which the core matrix instigates because there was some massive catastrophe about to destroy the planet or hurt the planet. It'll edit the timeline, try to reboot it and get rid of the earth-ending event or any major catastrophe that's going to destroy life. That's all it's interested in doing, is just keeping life going all the time. And so the more timeline edits there are, the more glitches you will have. So people will remember things from other timelines. That's where we get the Mandela effect. Yeah. And why we're getting more of these glitches currently, and we're aware of them, is because we now have technology to create massive world-ending events on a daily basis if we want to. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take long these days to destroy the planet. So according to Starfire Tour and her research, these world-ending time loops that we keep getting stuck in have been growing recently because of nuclear developments and chaos on the planet. And that's why in the last 20 years, we now have this sudden surge, what people call the Mandela effect, of these timeline edits. And she's dedicated her life. I won't say her age. I'm not really sure. You don't ask a lady her age, but she's spent
probably thousands of years, don't you think?
Yeah. Great portion of her life developing certain protocols to do with reality shift manifestation, which is where you can copy, paste and edit things out of other timelines into this timeline using similar techniques to the core matrix, because we can all interface and interact with the core matrix through our mind, because our mind is connected to it. And if we know how to then harness it, we can implement change in reality using certain techniques or protocols. So this is who I've been working with, and we're going to be doing a podcast soon. So that's what I'm trying to work on, is getting her back on the airwaves.
It's going to be called something else than what you already do.
We're going to be doing something called the Time Chronicles. Our new podcast will be called the Time Chronicles. We're going to be talking a lot about time, woo aspects of time, the Mandela effect, timeline edits.
Nice.
And we're going to be talking about the missions as well that we're doing on Facebook, which is quite interesting because from her life's work.
Oh, so those you do with her? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing some podcasts first of all with the Time Chronicles, but we've also been doing these missions now since the end of 2019, because I've been friends with Starfire for some time because I've been a fan of her work personally. It just resonated with me, and her story about the time looping, earth-ending events. I know to some people sounds crazy, but to me it made sense, because ever since I was a little girl, I've been having the most horrible nightmares since I can remember of this horrible world-ending event where everything went up in a nuclear...
I've had nightmares about that too. There was a period everybody had nightmares about it.
Yeah. But throughout my life, I've had very specific nightmares recurring of certain things, and I just felt like it made sense. And I remember as a little girl, I used to just hear this voice in my head saying, this is the last lifetime the earth is ever going to see. And I had this negative voice telling me I was going to see the end of the world in my lifetime, and of course I was having these world-ending nuclear nightmares going on, night terrors, and now I'm older.
Yeah, but that's culture that we projected it to be nuclear, because nowadays it can be a million different things.
Oh, sure. And who knows, like with this surge.
But when you grew up, the nuclear threat was like a big deal, right?
Yeah, it was. And but you got CERN. Remember when they turned on CERN?
Yeah.
They said, oh, this could destroy the entire planet in a black hole event, but we're just going to turn it on anyway, and don't worry about it. We'll just cross our fingers, right? Hope it doesn't destroy us.
Yeah, everything is a gamble all the time. And just the fact that they're not protecting us from sun flares.
Yeah.
You know, all electricity can just be shut down on the Earth overnight.
Yeah, or a big asteroid, right? Big asteroid can come out of the blue as well. I mean, there's just so many ways.
Yeah, but that's more like a clean ending. It's much worse if we lose electricity all over the world. We will be Mad Max in a matter of weeks.
Oh, God.
People will be cannibals. Anyway, this is a negative sidetrack. By the way, great news about the podcast. Maybe I should invite her on and ask her about all these things.
Oh, yeah.
And give some attention to the podcast when you're ready. When are you starting this up?
Well, we're hoping to record our first show, I think on Monday. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing another. Yeah, I think on Monday. Well, we're going to try to record a show. Then I've got to edit it and obviously do the work.
Oh, good luck.
So I'm trying to start getting...
Oh, my God. It's the worst.
Yeah. Well, I edit podcasts as well as a job. It's one of my other jobs.
You do? Wow.
So I'm an intuitive healer. I'm a businesswoman. I run these missions and I edit podcasts. That's my job. So I'm a sound engineer.
I should have hired you long ago. Damn. So other people's podcasts.
Yeah. I do a lot for the USA. I do all kinds of podcasts, and it's very interesting to sit and listen to them as well. Yeah. So I'll be the editing chief. Have to get the music and everything. Edited. Yeah, that's my daytime job.
Oh, you very often guests. Yeah, so it was your daytime. Wow, no wonder you're into podcasting. I mean,
but that's the thing. I've been doing all this sound engineering work, and yet I haven't actually started my own podcast because. Well,
not really. You have YouTube yourself. Yeah, it's a kind of a podcast.
But I can't believe I haven't been podcasting. I guess doing a podcast by yourself in the beginning is probably like I'm just going to sit here and talk to my mic for 30 minutes and I've got to make it sound interesting. To me, maybe seemed a little bit more difficult than talking to a camera, and I don't know.
Girls are more into cams anyway, so it makes total sense. But no, I hear you, sister. For me, it was kind of a podcast because I didn't use the camera like you did. We do use video. We try to stimulate the eye with illustrations and stuff, but it's so much easier to do what you do. You can just make a video half an hour and bam, you're giving them half an hour work, right? Mm-hmm. We have to, first we do what we do now, then it's the long editing, then it's the making the video, and the whole process is just, that's why we released your show on the podcast, but not the YouTube, because we're having a bottleneck for YouTube. We have to make videos, right? Mm-hmm. So we probably have like 30 unreleased shows on YouTube, but we released many of them on the podcast platform because it's just an audio file. So we're just transferring it from my site to there.
Yeah, great, exactly. So, but the wonderful thing about Starfire is you barely need to edit her because she speaks so eloquently and so fluently. She's just screaming for a podcast, Starfire. She's just the perfect candidate. So that's why I'm eager to get her up and on the air again after a little hiatus. So we're doing this podcast. We're doing the groups. We're using her knowledge of a relationship she built with these interdimensionals and the core matrix Akashic records, if you would rather, and using her protocols, because the thing I love about her protocols is they work. Now I don't mind someone's story or their own experience and metaphors they use, how to explain stuff, Akashic Records, Core Matrix, whatever. What I like about her protocols is I've tried them and they work. We've already proven this. Like we were doing these rainforest missions. So take you back a bit. It all started with the fires that were burning. And so I contacted her and I said to her, why don't we do some of those astral tag missions you told me about that you used to do? Or some reality shift manifestations to bring the rain, because I'd heard she could change weather patterns. So I said, well, let's bring rain to the fires and put them out with this rain. You give us the protocol, I'll get the group together and let's do it. So we did it for the Amazon, and it's all documented in our Facebook group, the Amazon Rainforest Mission on Facebook. Because it's all timestamped on a timeline in Facebook. That's why we use their platform. It's as a researcher and as a kind of, we do it very clinically, like a scientific data. We bring all the data in. We send out the manifestation where we're going to copy paste the rain in to those areas. And we are able to pinpoint an area on a map, say we're going to bring the rain focus, and then see the weather map change from hour to hour, and then see from an arid dry season, we can see now a monsoon appearing and coming in. So we were able to document, this was the day, this was the time, this was where we focused, then this is the rain that we brought in. And remember, when the Amazon was going through its fires, it was in the middle of dry season. Yeah. They were in the middle of a very arid time. There was no rain. There was no clouds. We have
but many people don't know that there was more fire in the African rainforest at the same time, but they didn't get any attention.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we couldn't do two. The thing with our missions is we can only focus on one thing at a time. So we chose the Amazon at that time to do that. It was the one we chose to.
But it was pretty horrible because it was basically man-made fire.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. The Congo was on fire. It was just the whole jungles. Indonesia was on fire. But because we were such a small group, we had to choose one place and focus on it. And we all decided to do the Amazon Rainforest Mission. Then we had a very successful full rain mission, and it was a great group of people gathered there. We only had about 500 warriors of light in the group at the beginning, and we were very focused, and we managed to at least bring the rain to those fires. I mean, we're not gods, we can't do the whole world in one go, whatever. So we had to choose, and we focused on that point. Then after that, we did the Australian rain mission, and we used, again, reality shift manifestation, where you basically copy paste times where there was rain. And it sounds crazy, right? Copy paste rain in from another time and put it into this time. That's basically what we do. And then we bring it and we place it there. And also in the Australian rain mission, it's all documented. We had tremendous success. We were able to not only bring rain, but our mission was to restore the watershed there, because they'd had drought for so long. Their underground water was dry. Their whole water system was just gone. And they've been selling water to China even. Like, people have just been removing the water from Australia and to sell it to other countries. So what we did was we not only brought the rain to put the fires out, and were able to pinpoint farms, like specific farms where they had 1,000 hectares next to each other and they'd had no rain, even though there'd been rain. We were then shown these farms, and then we brought rain on those specific farms, on those exact locations. And this, again, is all documented. We have it all in our Facebook groups. But these protocols, stuff I brought forth, work. That's the thing. Like, I'm interested in what works. Like, if I see a problem, I want to know, what can I do? What works? I don't want to just do a group meditation and then after I'm not sure, did it work or not, or did it get hijacked, or did I really do anything? I want something. I'm a bit of a male in that respect. I want something that works. I want to know, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to get a result. So we did these rain missions. It proved to the group that these things work, and proved to me they work. So we went then on to the coronavirus Astral tag mission, which was a bit different, and we focused on bringing out truth on COVID-19. Who's the agenda to weaponize it? People that might be connected to it to weaponize it as an agenda. The truth of how infectious it was. What would be the right medicines to treat it?
Yeah. Did you know it's a mix of different viruses, right? They have HIV in there too. HIV.
Yeah, exactly.
Horrible stuff.
Yeah, and definitely not an actually occurring event there. So that was more of an astral tag mission, where we wanted to help the truth come out. And that's why it's been such a crazy media circus of just people changing their tunes and weird things coming out, and things that you never would have thought would have coming out, like people now pointing the finger at the WHO for corruption. All kinds of stuff's been coming out. And that's, I would say that we've been doing a lot of astral tagging to bring that truth out in this group. And we started at the beginning of the pandemic. We've been doing this astral tag's been going for a while.
Oh, it was inspired by the pandemic then.
Yeah, we set it up the minute the pandemic broke out. Me and Starko were like, right, this is too confusing. People don't know what's going on, where it's coming from, everyone. There was conspiracy theories everywhere, and we needed some truth, because our motto for our groups is truth conquers fear. So we're very much about, let's help people find the truth. It's not like we're going to tell people what the truth is. We do missions that will bring the truth into the light so everyone will see it.
So you gave the key to the answers. You don't give the answers, you give the key.
No, we can't tell anyone. Like, we're in a private group on Facebook. No one's going to see what we're doing in there unless they join the group. Our idea is that we tag things so the truth will come out, even if it means someone putting their foot in it themselves. Sometimes the astral tagging works where someone will reveal themselves without realizing it, and it'll just come out, because the astral tag is like a tag dart. It's like they can't see it. It's like it's lime green. The color of the astral tags are lime green, and they're like little balls, and they stick to the truth like glue, and then they spread out throughout the timelines, and they search for the truth. And once they find it, these interdimensional beings that we work with help to bring that truth out. They're like the angels of truth. They whisper things and help for the truth to be revealed, basically. So there is this interdimensional help that we have. So if you weren't comfortable with that kind of level of woo-woo, you probably wouldn't be comfortable in our group, because we are dealing with astral realms, we're dealing with timeline editing, we're dealing with interdimensional beings and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there is a segment of my listeners who are into that. But to those who aren't, I can just say that, it doesn't matter, because look at it like this. What you guys are doing doesn't hurt anyone.
No,
right? It is
fun, and even just to join in.
So even if people don't believe it's anything going on there, why not? I mean, why not err on the side of trying? You see what I mean?
Exactly. We're all like little experimenters in the group, scientists.
The fact is, people have always worked like this. During the Second World War, there were people who were doing stuff like this all the time.
Yeah,
it just wasn't talked about. It wasn't well known.
And there's the dark side of the occult, the dark magi. They're doing it non-stop. They're doing their rituals. We're like the good side of that. We're like the cavalry for that.
But they work much more through matter, power, money, corruption.
Yeah.
They don't need to turn to magical arts as much. In fact, they don't have much magical powers, honestly, other than manipulating matter. But we're really walking down.
And brainwashing.
Yeah, all the and fear is perfect. Yeah. I mean, voodoo wouldn't work if it wasn't for fear, for example.
Well, and that actually brings me to the final mission that we're about to launch. That if anyone listening to this would like to come and be a warrior of light in our group, it's called Operation Warriors of Light, and it's specifically now to target the brainwashing on the planet, because we're like a democracy in our group. We talk about things we'd like to see dealt with in missions. We're now about 1,650 members of the Operation Warrior Light group, and we're gathering there. We all have a keen passion for truth, justice, freedom, unity, real unity. But we understand that divided we fall. So we want to create missions that's going to help cohesion for the planet, to bring truth to the planet, to enable people to see truth. Though you've got to get rid of the brainwashing. So the next mission that we're taking upon ourselves, never tried before, we're going to use a reality shift manifestation to stop the brainwashing on this planet. I tried to explain it like this. You know the movie They Live, where the people put the glasses on and they suddenly see the truth. Now imagine if you could give everyone on the planet those simultaneously.
The original blue pill. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine giving everyone on the planet a pair of those metaphorical glasses at once, so they could no longer be lied to, no longer be brainwashed, and no longer be tricked by deception of this, because the brainwashing really is the occult power on this planet that's influencing behavior. Yeah. And there is an occult energy behind it. You know, there are entities.
Yeah, they know. Even the Vatican knew that to control and influence paradigms are usually very, very powerful when you want to manifest something.
Oh,
so
100%.
yeah, so I mean, the more people believe something, the more energy they give it, kind of, to use the magical language. So when people are kept in this mental prison, a very narrow overtone window, which we have blown in today, by the way, both in terms of sexual chat and this mind-blowing chat. So both these subjects are pushing the overtone window that people are being trapped into. Especially not let them know their own true nature. You know, they're like the Gnostics, want to liberate people, let them realize they're just trapped gods. But power institutions have always known that, if we control the narrative, we get it more our way, because obviously the narrative will be whatever they are into. So that's a very important part of the liberation. But I also have to add that we need many people go crazy or they lose touch with reality and get high on stuff. So it's very important to always keep a scientific basis to anything you do. Verify stuff. Don't just trust
otherwise
blindly.
You will become delusional.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right and left brain, if you're too right brain, the downside of the right brain is delusional ways of thinking that take you into madness. Yeah.
And it's a very, very thin borderline there. And not everybody are able to, especially not the new, often first time people. I mean, it doesn't have to be young people. You can have like a midlife crisis and go full new age, right? And it's a cliche here. How you go, he goes through his shaman phase, then he goes through his healing phase, then he's this, that, all sorts of courses. Usually they end up at the other side, only with a little more yoga flexible body, but they come back full circle. But then there's those who are always being spiritual. I would say probably 30% of the population. I think it's that much, to different degree, of course. Not everybody are enlightened, but I think there's a permanent 30% like that. And there's always between 10 to 30% of something. For example, psychopathological people, same there. I don't think it's that high, maybe 15%. We didn't even talk about psychopathy and relationships, but that's a huge topic.
That's a whole topic into itself.
Many good advices there. In fact, I'm considering have on several experts to discuss it, because I think it's fascinating to discuss the dark aspects of the mind. I think it's just as fascinating as discussing, which I have mostly done, the dark aspects of matter. And with that, I mean the 3D outer reality, right? Like corruption and whatnot. Classified space program. But here, we're talking about the same thing, just on a personal level. And that's even more practical. So we don't have time today, but at least I realize I need to make a show about that.
So I'd just like to conclude and invite anyone who'd like to experiment and be a part of this research to come and find us on facebook.com/groups/Operation Warriors of Light, and just come and have a look how we run the group, because you'll be amazed. The Starfire Tour actually is incredibly left brain compared to me. I'm far more woo woo than she comes across. If you hear her talk, interesting. That's why, to me, she fascinates me so much, because I've never met someone so into science who's also so into the paranormal.
Oh, that makes a great guest of ours. Can you facilitate that? And I'll
she would love that.
Toot the horn for your podcast too.
Oh yeah, she would love to do that. I'm sure. I will talk to her.
I think more people will tune in to that show, because I think she's pretty well known, isn't she?
Oh yeah, I first heard about Starfire on Coast to Coast FM. Must have been back in 2008 or something, when I was living in China. Right. I was living in China back then.
Yeah, she's real old school, I recall.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be talk about that off air. And just remind us your YouTube channel.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/thepursuitofhappiness. You will have to put in, when you search The Pursuit of Happiness, or you can even just write it Yahoo.
That's awesome.
youtube.com/thepursuitofhappiness. I don't know if they put the word channels in between. I'm not really sure of the URL.
Well, they can anyway, but just search it on YouTube. That should work.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they want to get in touch with me about healing sessions, my intuitive healing work, they can find my details on my YouTube page, or I can even give you my links to put in your description for my Calendly, where I take my bookings for healing sessions. And also, if you want to just reach out to me, hit me up with an email. You can email me at iampigtails@gmail.com. If you have some questions or you just want to say hi, give me some feedback, feel free to contact me. And
all the stalkers you'll attract now.
My pleasingpartners.com website, of course, you can also go there for some great products.
You know that, like, I think it's 70% of the YouTube audience are male.
Oh, I have so many male subscribers and followers, and it's true.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's true. But I love my men. I'm not at all against some male attention.
No, but we have to shape it in there. I forgot to say that when we talked about today. That's why I was pitching all the time from the men's sake. I was flirting with my audience. I know who they are and what they need to hear. No, I mean, it's probably going to be leveled out with time, but there is a difference between different kind of audiences. Like if you go to podcast platforms,
yes,
is other sociological features. By the way, what do you think about Joe Rogan moving to, you heard about it? He's going to move fully over to Spotify. Yeah. And I'm there actually, so I don't mind.
Spotify. Yeah, I agree. It is starting to get like that though with the media. It starts to get to the point where it's like, I want to vote, with my money or with my attention. Like, where do I want to be? What do I want to be supporting?
But it's great that YouTube is challenged because they have been behaving like a spoiled brat all this time.
Terrible.
I don't know if you noticed, but remember last time we talked about how YouTube is strangling creators, right? One of the new things now, people haven't noticed, but they censor all the likes videos. I used to like good videos just so they can come in a list on my channel, so my fans could check it out and be inspired. They would know they would get good stuff there, but not anymore. And you know why they do this? Of course, they won't admit this, but the reason they have made all like lists secret is this fight they're having to try to quench listenership for independent media and boost listenership for public media. I mean, legacy media. So they realized that first they buried, the algorithm buries it so that it won't necessarily pop up on, on the right side list of videos and stuff. But the workaround was that people just liked each other's video, and that's how they popped up. So now they are like censoring all those lists basically. And that's another way. Oh. You see how hard it will be to find new stuff you're not already familiar with, or people who have no idea about independent media won't come across it now, because you have to have like the specific address to find it. That's probably a way so that they never will have to outright ban us, overt censorship. They can just bury us. And that's what they do.
Well, that's it. Yeah. And a lot of my followers have said they stopped receiving the notifications.
Yeah.
And that sometimes they go to my channel and the videos seem to be gone, and they write to me like, "Oh, is your channel gone?" And I'm like, "No, when I look, it's there."
That's why you have to bitch about them hitting the bell, because what happens is that first they had. What's the point of subscriptions if they won't get notified, right?
Yes.
So they kind of make it harder with this bell thing. And then they make it so that some people are unsubscribed from the bell and some get unsubscribed altogether.
Yes.
And I guess they're just blaming it on glitch. I don't know. There's no rationale. There's no explanation. It just happens. Or it never happens, of course, with CNN and Fox and stuff like that. So these unfortunate coincidences always err at the side of independent media.
Yes, it's a coinkydink.
That's it.
And if you go on BitChute and you put your videos on BitChute, I'm sure YouTube pays trolls to go on BitChute and talk down your videos on there. Because when I first put videos on BitChute...
Really? To take down? Because I've tried to take down... I'm annoyed with BitChute because I think they go too far.
Did you call it BitChute?
Yeah, I did. Pun not intended. And they're too opposite from YouTube. YouTube are too much on the man's side, right? But how did you manage to get stuff taken down? They haven't responded to me.
No, not about taking down. I mean that when I was posting videos on BitChute, what would happen was I would just immediately, the minute I put a video up, I'd have a lot of very negative comments telling me horrible things, calling me off like, you look like a tranny, shut up tranny, go home, or, oh yeah, you're just getting too old for it, or just really personal things about my appearance and just being really negative about me, or telling me, just trolling me basically. And I believe that this was YouTube or some other group that didn't want BitChute to take off, paying people to become very negative, because it got me to the point where I didn't want to post a video because it was so tiring to only get negative comments on a video, whereas on YouTube I was getting positive comments and your nasty comments.
It's not beneath them in any way. I kind of doubt it nonetheless, because remember, these places, especially BitChute, have... they attract people who are very into, should I say, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, but there will always be a certain segment of those who have like selfish reasons to do it, like they will attract all sorts of outsiders, right? And I think there is a little cruder culture there, especially because anything goes.
Yeah, it certainly is a different vibe. Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe over there.
So there could be a lot of misogynists, this men going their own way, or incels or whatever they're all called. Could be some of that stuff going on.
It could be. It just seems so orchestrated to me, though. It seems so repetitive and orchestrated. Like, I don't know. My conspiracy brain was kicking in.
I don't know the culture enough to know if it's probable or not. I should really start checking out BitChute and give them a chance.
I don't hang out on there so much, but I do mirror my channel on there just in case.
Oh, you did?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm on BitChute too, the Pursuit of Happiness. Excuse me.
Yeah. Do they accept advertisement on BitChute?
I haven't got advertising over there. I don't know if you can get advertising put on. I haven't even looked into that on BitChute. I just literally, when YouTube started squishing my channel a bit and I felt like I wasn't suddenly getting as many subscribers and views as I had been, I felt maybe I should mirror myself just in case on another platform. So that's why I did it.
No, I'll do the same. I kind of done it with the podcast, but it ain't enough. No, I have to do it. It's like not having a backup copy of your computer.
Yes.
Extreme sport, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I think we've reached the end of the line for this time today then. But
okay, well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to having your friend on next.
Yeah, well, I will certainly link you guys up.
And good luck with the projects. Go get them.
Thank you. It's certainly fun and interesting. It's like the sex life, even when you're on your spiritual pursuits, you have to keep it interesting. I want to learn new things. I want to have new experiences. I want to know what it is to be a wizard. For sure. A good wizard, like the Gandalf type. That type of
or
wizard.
Gandal, as in my case, yes.
Yeah. I mean, why have we been given these gifts to be the alchemist or the magician if we're not to use them in some way to create something good? Isn't that even Tantras to me is about beauty, me personally, making things more beautiful, beautifying the planet, my environment. Why not? If we have some special skills and gifts and they work, why shouldn't we try to use them?
Amen to that, sister. Okay, see you around, baby.
All right, my darling. All the best.
Yep. Take care now.
And you.
Ciao.
Bye.
So far today. As usual, I'll end with a quote, but first, let me say, do remember to subscribe. We are having many more viewers than subscribers. It's as if people have stopped subscribing these days after YouTube screwed up everything with a new algorithm. So please subscribe and click the bell. It really helps us to have as many subscribers as possible. Very important in this field. Without many subscribers, you'll get nowhere. And this also goes for our new podcast channel that many people don't even know we have. Check us out. iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever they're all called. You'll find us anywhere and subscribe there too. We need many more subscribers there. And now, it's a pleasure to tickle you with the winged words of the outstanding poet Khalil Gibran, where he offers some very timeless and valid perspectives on love and relationship. When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderest branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked. He sifts you to free you from your husks. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you are pliant. And then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. But if in your heart you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world, where you shall laugh, but not all your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Love gives naught but itself, and takes naught but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather, I am in the heart of God. And think not you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires. To melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night, to know the pain of too much tenderness, to be wounded by your own understanding of love, and to bleed willingly and joyfully, to wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving, to rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy, to return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone. Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. This concludes our show today. As ever, thanks to your support and my team, I've been your host, Al, sincerely signing off. Be seeing you.
Who is number one?